Let's begin at the beginning, which happens before that day finally arrives when retirement becomes a reality. Because what comes ahead of that date for employees covered under a pension plan is an important financial decision. You see, under almost all pension plans out there today, an employee is asked to decide whether or not to provide survivorship benefits for his or her spouse. And what makes it so important is, with many of those plans, once the decision has been made and retirement payments begin, there's no turning back. The decision in many cases is irrevocable over the lifetimes of both spouses. So, as you can see, it's a critical decision in retirement planning, and it must be made before retirement begins. What are the choices? In essence, it gets down to two. Whether to elect a life income option, which pays the maximum monthly benefit but stops at the pension earner's death, or a joint and survivor benefit, which pays a continued income to the surviving spouse for the remainder of the spouse's life. Now, on the surface, it looks like the joint and surviving spouse benefit is the only choice a married couple should even consider. In fact, there's a federal law that imposes the benefit automatically if the pension earner does not choose the lifetime annuity instead, and the spouse agrees in writing. But before the pension earner decides to let it ride and allow the joint and survivor benefit to take effect, there are certain serious drawbacks that such a decision would create. First, the monthly pension benefit is reduced substantially. In fact, the reduction can amount to hundreds of dollars every month. What's more, in most cases, that reduced benefit stays the same over the pension earner's lifetime, even if the spouse dies first. In other words, the survivorship benefit may never come into effect, but the reduced benefit stays the same nevertheless, except in certain plans which may boost the amount somewhat from the point of the spouse's death. So for the most part, there is virtually no flexibility under the joint and survivor benefit in most pension plans. And that can be serious when you consider that the option can never be changed once it begins. The reduced benefit usually continues for the pension earner's life even if the spouse dies first. There is no way to build up equity that could increase retirement income in inflationary times or provide for emergencies. And there is no way to provide for children or other family members whom the retiree and spouse might otherwise want to remember in their overall planning. So, as you can see, the pension earner who elects to have the joint and survivor benefit take effect at retirement is paying a price. And usually it's a big one. It can amount to a substantial reduction in the monthly benefit. Well, not to mention a dramatic lack of flexibility. Here's an example. There are different types of joint and survivor options available under most pension plans. For our example, let's take one of the most common, a joint and equal survivor benefit in which the full life income option, otherwise available, drops to approximately 75% while both spouses are living and continues at that level to whichever spouse survives. Let's further assume that our sample pension earner, using a formula based on years of service and current income, would be eligible for a $2,000 monthly benefit under the full life income option. As a result of the joint and equal survivor election, however, that amount drops to $1,500 monthly. So, instead of receiving monthly checks for $2,000, the most this retired couple can count on is $1,500, or a $500 drop in income each and every month. Now, that's pretty dramatic in itself. But if we carry that loss over 12 months, it's a yearly $6,000 dip in income. And if we extend that over 10 years, not an uncommon life expectancy for retired couples, it comes to an astonishing $60,000. And for what? For the contingency, not a certainty by any means, that the pension earner might die before his or her spouse. Under those terms, most would agree that it's a pretty expensive gamble for both spouses. But the good news is, it doesn't have to be that way. And that's what pension maximization is all about. A plan to enjoy maximum benefits from a company pension plan, the life income option, and provide for the spouse's continuing income outside the plan itself. The solution And it may come as no surprise to people who have spent their working lifetimes protecting their incomes from premature death is life insurance.
My life insurance agent put me onto it, called it pension maximization or something like that. And all it is a plan to get the largest monthly payment I possibly can from my company pension plan without shortchanging my wife if she survives me during our retirement years.
How does pension maximization work? Well, the idea is simplicity itself. First, instead of settling for the reduced joint and survivor option to provide for a surviving spouse, the pension earner elects the life income option to assure the maximum benefit possible. Second, the earner obtains a life insurance policy on his or her own life, naming the spouse beneficiary. The plan is designed to continue the same retirement income to the spouse after the pension earner's death, either through earnings from the invested death benefit or through the policy's built-in settlement options. And the premium for such a plan comes from the additional monthly pension benefit the earner receives by electing the life income option, typically with a lot left over to create a more comfortable monthly retirement income for both spouses. And that's it in a nutshell, but it's just part of the story. Remember the flexibility we talked about earlier? When life insurance enters the picture outside the rigid confines of a pension plan, remarkable flexibility is a natural result. Try these. First, the life insurance plan makes it possible to change beneficiaries for the life insurance benefits at any time prior to the pension earner's death. This is a valuable benefit if the spouse predeceases the insured, for example, and the insured can then name other family members or a favorite charity to receive the policy proceeds. It's also possible to change the benefit option in the insurance policy. This makes it possible to make midstream corrections in the face of changing personal, family, or economic conditions to make certain that the death benefit payout always matches overall plan objectives. And something that's especially attractive, depending on the policy selected, the insurance plan can include an increasing cash reserve that builds on a tax-deferred basis and can be used to supplement retirement benefits or provide an emergency fund. And it's available to either or both spouses, even if death does not occur. Furthermore, unlike pension benefits, which are generally taxable income, depending on how much the employee may have paid into the plan, the death proceeds from a life insurance plan are received income tax-free. This can have a substantial impact on the after-tax payments possible from the insurance policy. Finally, again, depending on the type of policy, a pension maximization plan that includes life insurance can help to create an estate that can be passed on to a couple's children. If the spouse does not survive the insured pension earner, for example, the beneficiary designation can be changed to name the couple's children or other relatives, friends, or favorite charities. Well, that's not the end of the pension maximization story, but it's a good beginning. Anyone presently working and eligible for a company pension plan, especially those in their 40s, 50s, and 60s, who are looking at retirement not too far in the future, will find that there's no better time to begin their own plan than right now. Well, for one thing, premiums are generally based on a person's age at the time the insurance is applied for. For another, not everyone can obtain life insurance because of changing health or other reasons. So why wait? Pension maximization, the key to enjoying maximum benefits in return for a lifetime of dedicated effort.